What kind of power makes a feared, vicious cultivator drop to his knees and beg to become someone's servant after a single look in the eye? That's the question at the center of today's Renegade Immortal episode 146. Quick note first, this follows the novel, so some details differ from the Donghua. Let's dive in. To make sense of what happens here, you need one piece of context, and it's the key to the entire episode 146. Our main character, Wang Lin, has just had a brush with something almost no cultivator in this world ever touches, a glimpse of what's called the third step. Think of cultivation here as a staircase. The first step, the second step, and far above both, the legendary third step, a level of the Tao that even the most powerful beings in the Allheaven Star System spend their whole existence searching for and never find. Wang Lin didn't earn it through raw strength. He caught a fleeting look at it through his mysterious treasure, the heaven-defying bead. And here's the twist that drives everything. That glimpse didn't actually raise his cultivation level at all. By the normal rankings, Wang Lin is still a relatively low-realm cultivator. What changed is something deeper, his very soul, his perception, his Tao. So picture the scene. Wang Lin is floating above a vast thunder lake deep in an asteroid field, thunder pouring through his body, his hair drifting without any wind. And he's so lost in his realization that he barely notices the world around him. Into this comes our witness for the episode. A black-haired man riding an armored thunder beast, charging through the asteroid field. He's come to this thunder lake many times before to cultivate the thunder origin spell, so he knows it well. But the moment he gets close, he knows something is badly wrong. The thunder here is far more violent than he's ever felt it, carrying an aura powerful enough to put him completely on guard. And this is no weakling. His cultivation is at the Corporeal Yang stage, a notch higher than Wang Lin's, near the threshold of breaking into the second step. Very few things in this world can rattle a man at his level. Yet the closer he gets to the center, the stronger that sense of dread becomes. When he finally breaks through the last layer of asteroids, two things stop him cold. First, the Thunder Lake itself has shrunk to half the size he remembers. It used to look endless, and now he can nearly see the far shore. Second, there's Wang Lin, hovering above it, looking utterly otherworldly. And then Wang Lin slowly opens his eyes. This is the moment the episode turns on, so let it land. Wang Lin's eyes are indescribable. They seem to hold the entire world and all its laws, as if they could see straight through heaven and earth. This is the aura of the third step, lingering from his vision. And his gaze isn't even focused. He's still half lost in his own comprehension, looking at the black-haired man almost by accident. But that careless glance hits the man like 1,000 thunderbolts detonating inside him at once. His body locks in place. The only thing that exists in his entire world is that pair of eyes. His heart pounds to the edge of bursting. His blood and origin energy roar through him out of control. And he's certain that if he stops cycling his energy for even a second, he'll simply collapse and die under the weight of that stare. And it's worse than that. From the instant the gaze lands on him, he can feel his origin soul, the core of his very being, starting to burn. His body begins to dissipate, layer by layer, as if heaven itself is quietly telling him to die. The thunder beast beneath him has it even worse, letting out miserable cries as its body crumbles away like dirt returning to the earth. To this proud, dangerous cultivator, it isn't even the fear of death. It's the suppression of standing before something so far above him that he's reduced to an insect. Then the cloudiness leaves Wang Lin's eyes, and he simply closes them. The pressure vanishes. The black-haired man nearly collapses on the spot, drenched in sweat, more than half his origin energy gone, his origin soul shrunk a full size smaller. And the realization that hits him is pure horror. If that gaze had lingered just a few breaths longer, he wouldn't have just died. He'd have been erased so completely that he couldn't even have escaped as a fleeing soul. He's never felt anything like it. Not even when he stood before the Lord of the Thunder Celestial Temple himself. So now the penny drops, and his terror flips into something else entirely. He recognizes what that was. Tao Sight, he breathes, the legendary Tao Sight. There's an old story in the Allheaven Star System about a figure who appeared countless years ago, and with a single spell, defeated every second-step cultivator in the entire star system. Most of them never even got to use one technique before they lost. And when someone gathered the courage to ask the name of that spell, the figure gave a plain, almost dismissive answer. This spell is called Tao Sight. I didn't create it, and every one of you is capable of performing it. That's what this proud cultivator believes he just survived. Now that he's no longer pinned by the gaze, he takes in his surroundings and gets a second shock. Beside the lake sits a puppet, and at its edge stands a silver-horned thunder beast. He recognizes the signs instantly. This means Wang Lin is also a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple. He can hardly believe someone this terrifying holds a rank like his own. But here's what the man can't possibly know, and it's the heart of the irony. When Wang Lin reopens his eyes, they've returned to completely normal, and Wang Lin himself is just as startled by what happened as his visitor was. He quietly wonders if that overwhelming feeling was the third step bleeding through, something he can only hold in his heart but is still far too low in cultivation to truly understand. He knows this was a gift of pure luck from the heaven-defying bead. Beings like the All-Seer, among the most powerful figures of this world, would do anything for the third step, and they search for it in the dark for lifetimes without success. Wang Lin stumbled onto a glimpse of it by chance. That's the gap between what this groveling cultivator thinks he's facing and what's actually in front of him. And that gap is about to cost the black-haired man dearly, though he'd argue it saved him. He drops to the ground in the posture used to acknowledge a master and introduces himself. Shengong Hu, a level 2 messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple, from the Shengong family of the Southern Domain. And here's why his behavior is so stunning. Shengong Hu is famously proud and genuinely vicious. Even among the temple's messengers, he's the kind of man most cultivation families won't dare provoke. His talent is monstrous, ranked among the top 30 in the entire Allheaven Star System by the Temple Lord himself, reaching the peak of Corporeal Yang in only 1,000 years of cultivation. This is not a man who bows to anyone, and he's flat on the ground, begging. Wang Lin, his mind still drifting in the afterglow of that vision, feels none of the tension he might normally feel. He notes that even standing before the All-Seer right now, he wouldn't flinch. He coolly asks what Shengong Hu wants, and when there's no immediate answer, simply tells him to leave if there's nothing. But Shengong Hu refuses to let the chance go. He begs to pledge himself to Wang Lin. He admits his cultivation is far too low to be worthy, but insists his sincerity is total, offering all the families pledged beneath him to serve Wang Lin's needs. Wang Lin, frowning, almost declines, partly because he can't actually use that Dao sight again on command, and partly because he can read how dangerously proud this man is, and worries that if Shengong Hu ever sees through his real, much lower cultivation, it'll bring trouble. So he shakes his head. And that's when Shengong Hu doubles down in a way that genuinely matters. He offers to surrender a part of his Dao soul to pledge to Wang Lin for 1,000 years, in exchange for just a few pointers during his future breakthroughs. He forms a seal and draws a black light containing his domain and his Dao out of his own head. Here's why that's significant. In the Allheaven Star System, the Dao soul is the single most important thing a person can offer in a pledge. Once your Dao soul is in someone else's hands, it's not the same as death, but your Dao heart itself can be affected, with consequences that ripple far into the future. Offering it is the ultimate proof of sincerity. Shengong Hu does it because he has a powerful gut feeling that passing up this moment is something he'd regret for the rest of his life, and he's a man who's always trusted his instincts. Wang Lin studies the offered Dao soul, narrows his eyes, and after a long pause asks the only question that matters. You won't regret this? Shengong Hu swears he won't, so Wang Lin waves his hand, draws the Dao soul in, and devours it into his own origin soul. Just like that, one of the most feared talents in the star system has bound himself to a man at a lower realm than his own, entirely on the strength of a single, accidental glance. With the pledge sealed, Wang Lin gets practical, and this is where the episode quietly sets up what's coming next. He asks why Shengong Hu came here. The answer: the Thunder Celestial Realm is about to open, and Shengong Hu wanted to gather origin energy at this lake first. Wang Lin's interest sharpens immediately, because he has a personal stake in that. When he once entered the Rain Celestial Realm, he couldn't absorb any of its celestial jades. But in the Thunder Celestial Realm, he can absorb them in large amounts, which means that Trip could push his cultivation all the way to completion. He asks how long until it opens. Shengong Hu tells him 10 years, after which one can enter through a thunder furnace. Then Wang Lin reveals something that confirms Shengong Hu's suspicions. He tells him plainly that he is not someone from the Allheaven Star System at all. It's the kind of origin that in Shengong Hu's mind fits a being of Wang Lin's apparent power perfectly. Shengong Hu explains the entry rules. The realm's damage limits entrance to the late Ascendant stage, but the Thunder Celestial Palace has a special method letting second-step cultivators in, as long as they don't use power beyond the early Nirvana Scryer level. Wang Lin gathers a few more details, recognizing this realm as a cousin of the Rain Celestial Realm. Both were once ancient passages to the true Celestial Realm. Then he tells Shengong Hu he can stay and cultivate here, but not to disturb him. And now we get the visual that proves the gap between these two, even with Wang Lin holding back. Wang Lin walks into the Thunder Lake, and the deeper you go, the more violent and origin-rich the thunder becomes. Shengong Hu, even at full strength, can only manage 50 steps in. Right now, injured, he barely manages 10. Wang Lin walks 100 steps before sitting down. He's there to recover. His origin energy was nearly drained dangerously low after using a devastating technique called the Heavenly Chop and a brutal battle with a figure called the Thunder Taoist, leaving him on the edge of his cultivation, dropping a level. For a first-step cultivator, that kind of energy is agonizingly slow to recover. But Wang Lin has an edge. His origin soul devoured half of an ancient thunder dragon, and his body is essentially made of thunder, so the lake's energy flows into him without resistance. 2 years pass in the blink of an eye, and Wang Lin barely moves the whole time, drawing in 20 times the normal amount of thunder, like a hunk of metal magnetizing lightning out of the lake. Shengong Hu heals during these years too, and Wang Lin quietly studies him, noticing that Shengong Hu pulls 10 times more energy from each strand of thunder than Wang Lin can. The reason is simple and important. The more origin energy you already have, the more you can absorb, which is exactly why the gaps between levels in the second step are so enormous. Then comes the sequence that defines the episode. After 2 years, Wang Lin rises and tries to push toward the lake's center, where the thunder is so concentrated that 100 strands at the edge can't match a single strand at the core. He forces his way forward, each step triggering explosions across the lake, but his origin soul can't take it. Despite having half an ancient thunder dragon inside him and a body of pure thunder, he's forced to stop, still only at the edge. And watch Shengong Hu here, because his reaction is the whole emotional arc in miniature. His reverence cracks. He's disappointed. With Senior's cultivation, why would he stop there? And his crushed Dao heart begins quietly recovering. He starts to doubt whether this Senior is really as strong as that gaze made him seem. To him, 100 steps is a wall he can't cross now, but he's sure he'll manage it once he hits the second step. So how could a true Senior be merely this strong? Then everything Wang Lin has been carrying inside snaps into focus. He goes still, forgetting his own body, forgetting time, until the Thunder Lake is the only thing that exists. Exactly the trance he fell into when he stared through the gap of the heaven-defying bead at the third step, and then he simply walks. The step is casual, but it lands at the perfect instant, and a bolt of thunder appears right under his foot, as if he stepped onto the lightning itself. He takes another step, and every single time, a bolt of thunder rises to meet his foot. He strolls deeper as if walking through his own backyard. Shengong Hu's diminishing awe shatters and reverses. 1 time is an accident, 2 is luck, 3 times may be coincidence, but a bolt of thunder rising to support every single step is impossible. In his eyes, Wang Lin has become the master of all the thunder in the world, and the lake is welcoming him. The armored thunder beast, whose feel for thunder runs deeper than its master's, sees it differently and even more chillingly. The lake isn't welcoming Wang Lin. Wang Lin's every step is landing precisely on a vein of the Thunder Lake. Even Wang Lin's own silver-horned thunder beast, which had pointedly refused to so much as glance at him this whole time, suddenly jerks upright, its huge eyes filled with raw horror. What Wang Lin himself sees is no longer a thunder lake at all, but rays of light flickering in and out of existence, and his foot always lands on the light. He moves faster and faster until he's only an afterimage, the thunder forever appearing beneath him, until his body flares with brilliant lightning and a violent storm erupts around him, with Wang Lin drifting through it like a small boat calm amid raging waves. Shengong Hu's reverence rockets past anything from 2 years ago into what can only be called blind faith, and the armored thunder beast surrenders so completely that if Wang Lin ordered it to attack its own master, it would obey without hesitation. When Wang Lin finally stops and the trance lifts, he's deep in the inner lake, far past any distance that could be measured in steps. He's confused for a long moment before recovering, his understanding of thunder now far deeper, and he knows it's all tied to his comprehension of the third step. It doesn't raise his attack power, but it matters more than any technique or treasure could. He likens it to an ant that crawled out of its cave, saw the magnificent cities of the human world, and then returned home seeing its own little world completely differently. He sits and absorbs a single strand of the dense inner thunder, and even that one strand makes his whole body tremble. But the episode doesn't get to end on Wang Lin's quiet triumph. Shengong Hu, his reverence at its absolute peak, and his mind buzzing with the enlightenment he just stole from watching, is about to sit and cultivate, when he suddenly frowns, his eyes going cold, and turns toward the distant asteroid field. A ray of purple light comes flying in, and standing on a wooden sword inside it is a stranger whose mocking voice drifts across the lake. This place sure is lively. So Wang Lin came here to quietly recover and ended up brushing against the third step itself, binding a top 30 talent to his name almost by accident along the way. The real question now is who just arrived on that wooden sword, what they want, and whether they have any idea how badly they've misjudged the man standing in that lake. That's where we pick up next time. If you're enjoying this arc, hit that like button, drop a comment on what you think the Dao site really is, and subscribe so you don't miss what that purple sword brings with it.